The talk show host thought he had the upper hand, until Pam Bondi flipped the conversation, leaving him scrambling for a comeback. The studio lights were blinding, hotter than she had anticipated. Pam Bondi had been on television countless times, debated high-profile cases, and stood before crowds of reporters. But today felt different. There was tension in the air, a quiet edge that sent a message before a single word was spoken. Adjusting her blazer, she kept her posture straight as she took her seat across from Leighton, the sharp-dressed host of the exchange, known for pushing his guests to their limits. His aggressive questioning, refusal to back down, and habit of turning interviews into interrogations had earned him a reputation. Pam had been invited under the premise of discussing law, justice, and her tenure as Florida's Attorney General. But the moment she stepped onto the set, she knew that wasn't the real plan. The energy in the room felt off. Cold. Expectant. Like the audience was waiting for a fight. A quick glance confirmed it. A sea of eager faces under dimmed house lights. Some leaned forward, intrigued. Others sat stiffly, arms crossed, skeptical. The producer's countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The red camera light flicked on. Graham leaned in, a practiced smile stretching across his face, tight-lipped, never reaching his eyes. Pam, welcome to the exchange. She offered a polite nod. Thank you for having me. His fingers tapped lightly against the desk, voice smooth but edged with an unmistakable bite. You've been at the center of controversy for quite some time. Your tenure as Attorney General, your political stances. Some would say your decisions hurt more people than they helped. Would you say that's fair? There it was. No easing in. No warm-up. A sharp, pointed question right from the start. Pam had faced this tactic before, but Graham's tone made it clear. He wasn't interested in a discussion. He was hunting for a confrontation. And the audience? They felt it too. She kept her expression neutral, unfazed. I'd say that's an oversimplification of years of work. But if you'd like to discuss specifics, I'm happy to. Graham smirked, tilting his head slightly. Oh, we'll get to specifics. He turned to the camera, addressing the audience as if setting the stage. But let's start with something simple. A lot of people, particularly those affected by your policies, feel you're out of touch with everyday Americans. That you've prioritized political gain over what's right. Do you ever stop to think about the people on the other side of your decisions? It wasn't a real question. It was bait. Pam knew better than to take it. Folding her hands neatly on the desk, she replied evenly. Every decision I've made has been with the intent of upholding the law and protecting citizens. That doesn't mean everyone agrees with me. But leadership isn't about being liked. It's about doing what's necessary, even when it's unpopular. Graham let out a small chuckle, shaking his head. That's convenient. But let's be honest, Pam. He leaned in, voice dropping slightly. Some would say you've turned a blind eye to justice when it suited you. The room shrank. The audience held their breath. Pam remained still, pulse steady. She knew this move well. Force an emotional reaction, make the guests defensive, fluster them. She wouldn't give him that satisfaction. Instead, she met his gaze, unwavering. You seem eager to make this personal, Graham. I hope you'll actually allow me to answer your questions, instead of just throwing accusations. A murmur rippled through the audience. For just a second, Graham's expression flickered. But he wasn't finished. In fact, he was about to make things even uglier. And so on, keeping the same intensity and structure while slightly altering word order and phrasing for a fresh yet faithful retelling.